My mom demanded I do something about my pregnancy because my sister was getting married and deserved the spotlight. When I refused, she secretly tried to put my baby up for adoption. Now she's calling me with bad news. And oh boy, karma hit hard. My sister was getting married at the end of the year, and I had just given birth to my son, a tiny perfect little human, about 3 weeks before. Everyone was overjoyed, everyone except my mother, that is. Honestly, I wasn't surprised. To her, there's nobody more important than her darling baby. And that's always been my little sister. So here's the kicker. I got pregnant a while back, and when I was 6 months along, my sister got engaged to her boyfriend. If you do the math, you'd know I'd have already given birth by the time her grand, elaborate wedding rolled around. She wasn't the type to want a small, quick ceremony. She wanted a spectacle, something that would take months to plan. And that's where the drama started. My mother, bless her heart, actually demanded I do something about my pregnancy. Can you believe it? She didn't want me to upset my sister. My sister and I? We're not close at all. She's always been a spoiled brat, and ever since our father passed away a couple of years ago, we've barely had any contact. The only reason I even stayed in touch with my mom was a promise I made to my dad on his deathbed, to look after her, because he knew my sister wasn't responsible enough. Even though my sister was always mom's favorite, I tried my best to maintain a relationship. Until recently, that is. My mom showed up at my house, and I thought she was there to share the good news about the engagement. Instead, she launched into this insane rant about how my pregnancy would take away her limelight, because apparently, a baby is a bigger milestone than a wedding. I mean, seriously? I told her she was being paranoid. Mom, I said, it's not like people are going to skip her wedding because I had a baby. And besides, I'm not even invited to her wedding, just like she wasn't invited to mine. We're not friends. I was so confused, thinking, I'm not some celebrity. Nobody at her wedding is going to be talking about me or my baby. But she just wouldn't let it go. She actually told me I needed to hide my pregnancy and my baby from everyone in the family and all our common friends, so I wouldn't steal my sister's limelight. I thought she was absolutely crazy. We got into this huge fight and I stopped speaking to her after that. I felt terrible about breaking my promise to my father, but what choice did I have? She was acting completely unhinged, and I was pregnant and already irritable. I just couldn't deal with her idiotic statements. So she wasn't there for anything after that. It was just me, my husband, and his amazing family taking care of our baby. She wasn't even there for the birth. My husband called her that day, but she refused to show up, saying she was out with my sister. I'm pretty sure even if she hadn't been out, she still wouldn't have shown up. I'm just not a priority for her. If she could abandon her own daughter over something as ridiculous as stealing limelight, then there was nothing more to say. We had absolutely no contact and I was fine with it. Then a couple of days ago she called. I didn't answer initially, but she started texting me frantically, begging me to pick up, saying something very important had happened. It was clear she had bad news. I really didn't want to talk to her, but that promise to my dad kept nagging at me. So I answered. And thank God I did. Because that's how I found out she's in legal trouble. She tried to put my baby up for adoption without our consent. The adoption agency found out. It was a case of fraud and misrepresentation. Apparently, she had contacted an adoption agency, falsely claiming she had power of attorney because both my husband and I were addicts and deemed unfit by the court to take care of our baby. As the custodial caretaker, she decided to put him up for adoption. But obviously, they easily found out all the legal documentation she provided was fake and immediately stopped the process. Now they were going to take this up legally. She was calling me because she was scared about what was about to happen. They had informed her they were going to take legal action, and she'd be served in a couple of days. But before they could contact me, she decided to tell me herself, hoping I'd help her out. She was crying, begging me. But how could she expect me to help her after something so horrific? I understood her wanting my sister to have the limelight, but going out of her way to put my baby up for adoption? That was just disgusting. And honestly pretty stupid. Because this way it's just going to bring more attention to me since now I plan on suing her too. After she explained everything, I just hung up. I had nothing more to say. I didn't feel bad for her at all. In fact, I thought she deserved this and even worse. Later that day, the adoption agency contacted me to let me know what was going on. My husband and I talked, and after hearing from them, we decided we were absolutely going to pursue legal action against her. There was no way she could do something like that and get away with it. Within a few days, we had filed a civil lawsuit against her. The proceedings are starting soon, and given the seriousness of the situation, criminal charges have been filed against her as well. There's little to no scope for mediation. The best she can hope for is an out-of-court settlement or maybe a plea bargain for the criminal charges. But even then, she might be facing jail time. Right now, she's under house arrest, but she can still contact me. And she's been sending me email after email, begging me for help. At least she's apologizing, saying she got carried away because she was upset about my decision not to hide my baby for my sister's sake. But she knows it was messed up and she's really sorry. I've been ignoring her, but then yesterday she hit me where it hurt. She reminded me of the promise I made to my father, that I would always take care of her. That kind of caught me off guard because it was a private conversation with my dad. I didn't even know she knew about it. For a moment, I almost fell for it. Using my father to defend herself? That's just low. I've taken that promise seriously for years since my dad passed away. I tried my best to live up to it. But this is emotional manipulation at its finest. A lot of people have criticized me for putting up with her for so long, especially when she clearly couldn't care less about me. But if you've ever lost a parent, you know that stuff is heavy. I lost my father to cancer, and I made that promise on his deathbed. That's not something I take lightly. But this is crossing a line. I've made up my mind. Nothing can make me back down. Even my husband thinks I've made the right call. I'm not even asking for a lot of money. I just want her to pay back what I've spent on her in the past couple of years because I've been taking care of her since my sister wouldn't spend $1. To be fair, my sister doesn't spend money on anyone but herself, which is probably why my father asked me to look after Mom. But I don't think he could have ever seen something like this happening. I'm sure he'll forgive me. Even if he doesn't, I have to do this for my own sake. I know for a fact my father left her the house and a substantial sum of money, so she'll be fine. And even if she loses everything, it's not my concern anymore. I've tried my very best, and it wasn't enough. Nothing will ever be enough for her. I am done trying to be a good daughter. I am simply a mother now, and that's my only priority. It's been a few weeks since my last update. We're currently in mediation, trying to settle the civil lawsuit out of court. It hasn't been going well. We've had to terminate every session because my mother gets too emotional and starts screaming. I don't know if it's a strategy or if she's actually losing it. Either way, it's just delaying the inevitable. I don't think she realizes there's no way out of this for her. My uncle even reached out trying to convince me to back off. He says the amount I'm demanding is too huge and unfair. He brought up how she raised me from a baby, and how ungrateful I am for not forgiving her for one stupid little mistake. But here's the thing, it wasn't a stupid little mistake. She literally forged documents. This wasn't some heat-of-the-moment thing. It was all premeditated. That's the scary part. If the adoption agency hadn't done its due diligence, she probably wouldn't have been caught. The more I think about it, the less forgiving I feel. No amount of money is going to make up for what she did. And I'm only asking for what I've already spent on her, not $1 more. My uncle doesn't know that from the paperwork, but even when I told him, he still said it was extremely unfair. After a while, I got agitated. I didn't want to fight with him. My uncle and I have always had a good relationship, but he was bent on ruining it. I told him if he cared so much about his sister, maybe he should just bail her out by paying the settlement himself. That's when he started yelling, calling me all sorts of names. I hung up. There was no point talking to him anymore. How can anyone defend her given the circumstances? Then there's my sister. She's been insufferable ever since she found out about the lawsuit. She's making me out to be the villain, claiming I'm doing all this to get back at her, and my mom for not paying me enough attention. At least my uncle had the guts to speak to me directly. She's been talking behind my back to everyone we know, and that's how the whole family found out about the lawsuit. I really didn't want that happening. This is personal and disturbing. But since she's been running her mouth, people have had a lot of questions. I'm having to answer them, telling myself it was bound to come out anyway, and I might need them to testify if this goes to court. But the bigger problem is the narrative my sister is setting, like I'm being vindictive. I don't think she understands the gravity of what our mother tried to do. This isn't some sibling rivalry. How can someone be so stupid and self-involved? Oh wait, it's my sister. Not surprising. She's truly my mother's daughter. It's ironic, really. This whole thing started because my mother wanted my sister's wedding to be the event of the year. So she wanted me to hide my pregnancy and baby. Now, because of her own actions, this lawsuit is going to be the family highlight for a long time to come. Not just this year. I hate to acknowledge it, but it's pretty scandalous from a gossip point of view. If I hadn't been involved, I probably would have found it juicy too. It sounds trashy to say, but it's poetic justice for my mom. Not even my sister's wedding can top something like this now. So, update. My mother has agreed to our terms and soon enough, we'll be receiving our settlement money. She's still on trial for her criminal charges though. She and her lawyer are doing their best to get her out of it without jail time. But for now it's looking bleak. I've been asked to testify by the prosecution, as have the people from the adoption agency. My sister and a couple of other family members close to us have also been contacted. It's been a few weeks and things have been going well for our family. We even managed to sneak in a short weekend trip with our son to see his great-grandparents, my husband's grandparents, who are wonderful. When we told them what was going on, they told me I was doing the right thing by stepping up for my child. I even shared the guilt I was feeling about breaking my promise to my father, but they told me I had nothing to feel bad about. My father, they said, would have probably told me to go for it because this is just insane. That made me feel considerably better. I really needed that change of scenery. When I came back, I felt refreshed. This whole experience has been so distressing. Even though my mother and I had differences before, it never escalated to this level. In the last couple of mediation sessions, she probably realized that screaming and terminating sessions wasn't going to make anything better, and would eventually land her in court, which would be even worse. So, probably on her lawyer's advice, she behaved herself and let her lawyer do all the talking. She'd hardly even look at me, and when she did, it was a quick glance like she couldn't bring herself to see me. I think that's a good thing. She doesn't deserve to feel like she has the right to even see me anymore. My uncle and my sister are still actively spreading hate against me and the family, but that hardly matters. Anyone who wants to be on my side will be. And people who just want to gossip, they'll stick to the sidelines and won't actively get involved, so they don't pose any threat. I'm secure enough to know that their gossip won't become the truth just because they're saying it. It's been a little over a month since my last update, and my mother agreed to my terms. A couple of weeks ago, our settlement money finally came through. We're setting that aside for our son's future because thankfully we don't need it right now. We're happy with it. It was the money I was owed, the money I'd been spending on my mother after my father passed away. My sister knows this, but in spite of that, she showed up the other day and started accusing me of ruining her wedding. Apparently, our mother had promised to pay for part of the wedding, and now that I'd sued her and taken back all the money, Mom wouldn't be able to live up to that anymore, and it was all my fault. It was crazy because while she was yelling at me, she literally mentioned that I had taken back all the money that she had taken back, which meant it was originally mine. So it's not like she wasn't aware. And in spite of that, she still thought it was appropriate to yell at me instead of questioning why any of this was happening at all. When she showed up, I hadn't even let her in, so I was speaking to her at the door. The second she started yelling, I slammed the door shut. I didn't need this drama. I was already busy with work, even on maternity leave, trying to work from home so I wouldn't be overwhelmed when I rejoined. And on top of that, I had to look after my son. No time for this. But even when I shut the door, she didn't take the hint and continued to stand outside, screaming about how unfair everything had been for her. After a while, when she still didn't leave, I started to get annoyed. I called the cops. Within a couple of minutes, they showed up, and while they were dragging her away, she started cursing at me so loudly that even the neighbors, who had probably been peeking from behind their curtains, came out to watch. It was extremely embarrassing. And while she was cursing, she said a bunch of concerning things about me and my child. I don't want to repeat them, but they were pretty threatening, and I didn't feel comfortable at all. I had already called my husband and told him what was going on as soon as I called the cops, so he came home earlier. I told him everything my sister had been threatening us with. One of the officers even suggested we file a restraining order because something was clearly very wrong with her. My husband and I both think it's a good idea. I don't feel safe anymore. She knows where I live and she knows every other way to contact me. If she took it upon herself to try and make me feel uncomfortable, she'd easily succeed. I'm not saying she's going to do what she threatened, but there are other ways to intimidate a person. And I'm just scared because I'm a mother now, and I don't want episodes like this repeating. After a really long discussion with my husband, we decided we were going to move. I had already been planning to change my phone number and other contact info so people couldn't contact me without having a good relationship with me first. It's not just about my sister. I've had a lot of messages and phone calls from people who only wanted gossip, and it's getting really annoying. So that was another reason to change everything, because the last thing I need is visitors who only want to talk about the situation and gossip. My husband is doing well for himself, and if we need to, we can ask my in-laws for help. But we will definitely be moving, and we will definitely be filing for a restraining order against my sister because she's clearly unhinged, and I don't want her coming around anymore. Everything has been pretty expensive for us so far. We had to pay for our lawyer, and of course a newborn is expensive. Our finances have been a bit tight recently, and with the move, it's probably going to get even more expensive. But when I think about my son, it seems worth the trouble. Honestly, I'm just really tired of everything. But my husband and my son are the only people who keep me going and motivated to do better. I can't express how happy and lucky I am to have found a partner who understands me so well. And I'm pretty lucky that even his family has been standing by me throughout all this. To be frank, after my dad passed away, it was mostly my in-laws who have been there for me, even more than my own mother. Not everybody is lucky enough to have such wonderful in-laws, so I'm very thankful for them. It has been a really messy and exhausting past couple of months, and I'm just really hoping it comes to an end soon. Hey, so last week, the verdict of my mother's trial finally came through. She has been convicted on all charges. Since she's a first-time offender, she's going to have to pay a huge fine as restitution to both the adoption agency and me, along with several hours of community service. She managed to dodge incarceration, but she does have to attend court-mandated mental health treatment in a rehabilitation facility, since her lawyer made it seem like she had been going through some psychological stuff. I'm not in touch with her anymore, and haven't been since she agreed to the terms of our civil lawsuit, and we came to a settlement. I found out about it from a couple of family members, and honestly I guess it's fair enough. I also managed to get a restraining order against my sister soon after my last update, so that's another win for me. We're currently in the process of moving houses, and it's a bit stressful, but we can handle it. Especially with the money that's about to come in, it's been a huge relief. We might not need to ask our in-laws for help at all, and we won't even need to dip into the settlement money we had decided to put aside for our son. So it's all worked out in our favor. And even though my mother got lucky legally, she hasn't been so lucky in her personal life. I've been hearing a lot of gossip and have even been sent screenshots of my sister's recent social media posts. She has denounced anything her mother has done so far, going as far as to claim she had no knowledge of any of this until recently, and that she doesn't agree with my mother's behavior at all, thinking she deserves to get convicted. Even though that's not what she had been saying to me before everything went wrong. Before that, she was strongly on her mother's side. From what I know, she did this because her fiancé and his family weren't comfortable with the idea of him marrying into a family like this, which is quite understandable actually. They had been considering postponing the wedding, which is why she decided to cut off our mother in such a public way. It sucks for our mom because all her life she had been dedicated to my sister, and now this is what she gets. It's pretty sad but well deserved. I don't feel bad for her at all. Now that I'm moving, I'm going to have nothing to do with these people, and I really can't wait. What do you think about my sister throwing our mother under the bus like that?